Come on, get them shackles off him. Poor son can't eat proper.
Dunno, I'm not sure I like that. What if he runs for it? He's worth a heap of coin.
Ah, bollocks. Been holding him a week, hasn't tried a thing. Why he up and bolt now? Matter of fact, got to thinking. What did a sweet, gentle chap like him do to get the Queen of Zerrikania so riled?
She's a shrew, that's what. Queen and witch in one. Worst of both worlds.
Enough about her. What do you say to one more of your tales? While we toss down some cards.
Ah, why not? And since you mentioned one queen...
Thronebreaker time. We're back to Witcher. It's been a while. So for those who don't know background, I covered Witcher 3 on this channel. It was like in the territory of like 150 to 200 episodes. Like it was up there. Did the main campaign. I did both of the DLCs, the expansions, as they're fittingly called. And then I was actually in the middle of being like, hey, let's go do the Skellige tournament for the second campaign's Gwent tournament, trying to go through that, and it kind of petered out on accident, and then we haven't gone back to it since. For the longest time I've been like, I felt bad about that, but also I didn't want to go back to it because I'm like, I don't know how much people would like me interrupting a particular, like being like, hey, here's the finale, but instead of starting a new game, here's the continuation of the Gwent tournament no one remembers I was doing for the most part. So I haven't really gotten back to that. But hey, here's a fun excuse. There's a Gwent game. A whole Gwent game. I haven't played Gwent yet, the standalone version, but maybe I'll change that today too. I have not yet played the changed version of Gwent, because the original Gwent on Witcher 3 is quite enjoyable and neat and all that, but it's also got some balancing issues and some skill ceiling, and there's only so much variation eventually to it. So it probably kind of hit its limit, and so to make it competitive and whatnot, they changed it significantly for the multiplayer standalone thing, which I don't know how they changed it yet, but they changed it. So let's get in here. So this is supposed to be the single-player element of Gwent, as shown by the fact that I think if you click on this, it straight up takes you to the multiplayer, like the standalone Gwent game. They're being treated as being the single-player and multiplayer of one product, basically, where I think Thronebreaker is like a $30 or $40 paid game, and the multiplayer is, I think, free to play. So this is like a campaign-oriented thing. So let's get in there. I'm happy to be back in the world of Witcher because I've missed it a bit. I read the first 2 books in the meantime, and by the first 2 I mean the ones that are a series of short story chapters. So this is when you want to chill out. The option to skip battles. This is when you want moderate challenge and an impactful story. This is people that are familiar with Gwent and ready to put their skills to the test. I played Witcher on the highest difficulty. It's tempting. This might be the most engaging version to play, or it might stomp me. Let's find out the hard way. I am not a big card game player, but I have played a fair bit of Gwent. I wonder if I've played more Gwent than any other card game, actually, as a virtue of its use in that game.
The year 1267. War hung in the air, its scent palpable. The mighty empire of Nilfgaard stood poised, greedily eyeing the northern realms just across the Yaruga. In light of the threat, the realm's sovereigns met in summit. They made declarations, pledged fraternal assistance, forged alliances, and then, in good spirits, dispersed. Among them, Meve, queen of the twin realms Lyria and Rivia. Know the name? Heard her beauty extolled? Justly so. Remarkable she was. Not for her graceful exterior, but for her persistence and courage. Where was I? As the queen and her retinue neared her capital, Count Caldwell appeared. In Meve's absence, the Count was to have helped her son, the youthful Prince Willem, run the Twin Kingdoms. Caldwell had clearly ridden hard. Drops of perspiration dangled from his whiskers, his neck red and chafed from a ruff, starched stiff.
Hail, Your Majesty. Delighted to see you in good health. The summit, it ended fruitfully, I hope?
Yes, at its end, letters were exchanged, documents signed. Paper. Time will tell of what value. That will suffice as cordialities go, Caldwell. Tell me what's happened, for I sincerely doubt sheer longing prompted you to ride out.
Indeed, Your Grace. Another circumstance inspired me to do so. The strays of Sparla, the bandits, I was to tend to during Your Grace's absence. The situation's gotten out of hand, I fear.
Oh, I've got to see how they're doing this. So as of right now, it's click to proceed despite being voiced. It does not auto-proceed until the next dialogue choice. Maybe there's a setting for that somewhere. I wonder how they're doing the graphics here, though. How does this work? Like, a lot of it looks like just motion tweening and whatnot, but like, I see depth in it, despite it being a two-dimensional image. I think these are 3D character models that have these textures projected over them, and that allows them to shift around. Like, when that guy's head is moving around, it looks like you can see more and less of the top of his hair, as if like you're seeing around a character model. I think there's a little bit of trickery going on here. It's like the sharpest version of this particular style I've ever seen, for sure. Let's see. Situation's gone out of hand. Let's say settled down.
Steady, Caldwell. Come now. Deep breath. All right. Speak. What has happened? Be precise.
As Your Grace ordained, I set out and was nipping at the bandits' tails for long. We pursued for weeks, until scouts returned, having sighted the strays' camp in the forest near Lochran. We waited for nightfall to surprise them as they slept. Alas, it proved a ruse. We found the tents empty. Straw-stuffed dummies round the fire. Soon, we learned that as we waited for the sunset, the strays had snuck away, rounded our positions and ridden to Hawksburn.
I beg your pardon, my lord. The tax collectors. That is where they station.
So the gold? All of it?
It's stolen, Your Grace, but I shall do all in my power to recover it. This I vow, if it be Your Grace's wish.
After weeks in the saddle, Your Grace's wishes are modest. A hot bath and a night's sleep in her own bed. Yet, they shall have to wait. I must look personally to this matter. Your force, Caldwell, I will now command. You... send a herald to Hawksburn. They must prepare for the Queen's arrival. Air the rooms, dust off the porcelain. Make certain they do it. Do you see now, Reynard? I believe I foretold it would be thus. My son wasn't ready in the least to rule an entire country.
I confess, Prince Willem has much to learn yet.
Yes. And very little time.
They stole our gold. I clearly make my armor out of that. Welcome to Thronebreaker tutorial. Before embarking on your adventure, you should get acquainted with the basic game mechanics. You can control your character using left click, follow the cobblestone road to reach your next stage of your journey. Just question. Full screen, that's the resolution, is the full screen resolution of premium cards. Okay. Mute all audio, no. Excuse me. Mute in background, voice volume. This thing's popping up right over everything else. So does not appear to be a auto proceed during cutscenes. Ah, it just opened the privacy policy website. My bad. Didn't mean to click on that. It was just seemed like the next option. I didn't read it. No auto proceed. That's too bad. There is auto proceed when I was in this camera angle starting a moment ago. Okay, so can you click? Oh yeah, you can hold to click, or you can click where you want to go. So I can just hold down the mouse click and she'll follow it. That's handy. I don't have to spam click like a lunatic the whole time. It's a really nice art style. You will expand your army throughout the game, but to do so, you must collect the following resource types: gold, wood, and recruits. While on the road, you can find useful items and even new companions who will support you in battle. If you don't want to miss anything, be sure to explore the map and complete side quests. You need to be thorough. I like side quests.
Thought it were bandits riding in.
Nope, no bandits. Just an army. No big deal. Boom. So that's my that's my recruits. Just grabbed 8 just like that. How the hell were there 8 recruits here? There's one building basically. One habitable building. Okay, now I'm just pillaging you. Sucks to be you. I mean, I am the queen and I am entitled to these resources. Yes. I shall defend you from the what's-her-names and the stuff. With all the gold I don't have, because it was taken already a moment ago. What's up with that? Oh, the X just means I can't walk there? Sure. Even though... Alright, even that little log was claimable. It'll take a little bit to get down which things are claimable and whatnot, so I can recognize them quicker.
Milk. They stretched her over a fire till she told them where she buried her gold. Rather die than tell him she would, but I know where she kept it. Sit tight, sketch it out for you.
Oh, alright. Learning to talk to people multiple times like in Dark Souls until they repeat or something. Congratulations, you found a treasure map. Search the area and you may just find the secret location marked on the map with an X. There's an X in front of a house there's got a stump out in front of the house. It's kind of in a little cliffy area. How do I revisit that drawing? Tab. I. Escape. How do I revisit these locations? Morale is normal. So morale is a stat in this game too. Yeah, as of right now, I don't know how to reopen said map. Spacebar, enter, shift. No? Just gotta memorize it, I guess? Hopefully there's not too many of them at once, I guess. So there was like cliffs around a house, and there was a stump. Wait, what, is that the stump? Was it cliffs or was it that fence? Like it might have been right here, potentially. That's a house, that's a little stump, but I don't think that's quite it. Can't talk to that guy? Really? You can... Oh. There was even additional resources in that one. Okay, yeah, that's the kind of cliff we were seeing there. I take it I can't just walk over here? Nope. Wait, is this it? This is it. There's the gold. Congratulations, you discovered a card that can be used in the Gwent multiplayer card game, Ranard Odo. The multiplayer game. I see. So not this one. That's really good card art. Alright, I'm unlocking things for another video game. Technically the same game, kind of. It's meant to be a tie-in. An obstacle blocks your path. To remove it, you will need to spend some of your resources. Or I could go around like a boss. Probably not. No, I can't even go over here. I thought you could sneak past this fence and go up into this whole area, see what you can do. That might all functionally be scenery. Your Majesty, it seems someone felled an old oak, which now blocks the road. Unfortunately, our wagons cannot go around it. How do you wish to proceed? You can have your loggers sort the matter. Our soldiers should conserve their strength, so spend money, gain wood. Or issue axes to soldiers and put them to work. -1 recruit. You just lose a whole dude, but gain half as much wood. Let's spend the gold. And so the decision system reveals itself. Can I WASD? Or arrow key? No, you definitely have to click in this game. This game might not have any keyboard interactions, really. Most interactive objects are marked clearly on your map, but not all. Some events cannot be predicted, so you'd best prepare for anything.
Count Caldwell rode at the column's head, scanning its flanks with a wary eye that, despite his advanced age, proved very sharp indeed.
Your Majesty! Bandits! There! At the tree line!
The Count's footmen, unaccustomed to escorting their queen, sought to shield her with their bodies and assumed a tight formation to do so. They were promptly knocked aside as Meve charged headlong at the bandits, brandishing her blade and bellowing a ferocious cry.
Attack! Charge!
What am I looking at here? Is this a bandit's face or something? He got a little like wolf ears and a muzzle. Like it's, huh? One appearance, I guess. Yeah, that's what they're wearing. I'm not crazy. All right. Meve was convinced the bandits would flee to the cover of the forest upon realizing their grave mistake. After all, no ordinary bandit would dare attack the retinue of a queen. Yet the strays of Spala were of a different breed. They held nothing sacred. So story battle custom deck. Unique cards will appear in this battle. A key battle in Meve's story. Unique cards may appear in your hand or deck. Alright, let's go. My understanding is this might be like a combination of a trading card game and a puzzle game, in that it might be a fair bit of like, you're building up your deck and here's your campaign deck that you're working on and here's how it reacts to different situations, but also I think there might be a bunch of unique scenarios throughout it that affect your cards and the enemy's cards that make it more of a story campaign and whatnot. So first thing I'm noticing in this is that, first of all, the art's amazing, but as an immediate difference between this game and previous Gwent, there's only 2 lanes, I can immediately tell, per side instead of 3. So that changes things. This is the battlefield. You will play your cards on the bottom half, your opponent will play on the top. Units can be played on one of 2 rows, melee or ranged, but remember, the abilities of some cards may be different depending on the row you play them. A standard battle can last up to 3 rounds. The first to win 2 rounds wins the whole match. Players alternate their turns. During your turn, you can play only 1 card, but you can use any number of abilities. The player who goes first in a match is the same as who initiated the battle. In this case, you encountered an ambush, so your opponents will have the first turn.
Have it the white of an eye from half a league away. To attack the queen? An outrage!
The strength of each unit you play adds to your army's total strength. The player whose army has the most strength points at the end of a round will win the round. Some units have armor. Armor absorbs a certain amount of damage dealt to the unit.
Your Grace, the men await. You must lead to begin the attack.
Most cards have an ability of some kind. To learn about it, select the card and read its short description. Additional information will appear if you right-click on the card. Play any card. Yeah, I gotcha. This isn't gonna go away though, is it? So, same thing as the previous game. They seem to have changed a few things though. So 1, there's no longer 3 lanes, now you have 2, and you can actually play some cards in multiple different lanes, where which lane you play it in will change what it does in some ways, which sounds like it could significantly increase some of the strategy of certain cards. But what does appear to still be around is the whole try to win 3 rounds thing. If we're still working with a limited deck, a limited overall deck size, then the strategy I would often use in Witcher 3 might still apply, where you bait them into putting too much effort into one of the rounds while you kind of under-invest, and then you use your excess power in the following rounds. I won't know until we verify whether or not the deck starts over each time or not, because they're definitely changing some things. They use the Stray's Slinger. Look at that art. Look at that art. Move 1 unit to the row opposite this unit and damage them by 1. 1 unit to the rows opposite this unit. Does that mean that, like, if since he put him in melee, it triggers them and puts them into ranged then? It deploys when they're yeah. So a deploy ability is something that happens when you're played in the moment. What is it, Reynard? Bandits attacking royal tax collectors in broad daylight? Hey, art credit right there. That's nice. So I've got the Lyrian Scytheman. Loyal. boost self by 5. Trigger this ability automatically when your leader's ability is used. So right now he's a 5, but he becomes a 10 if my leader uses their ability. Our folk, they feed, and our foes, they bleed. What else do we have here? The Lyria and Arbalest. Human, Blitz. Blitz probably means they attack immediately or something. Deploy. Damage an enemy by the number of cards in this row. Specific. Reach 2. That's how many lanes away it can shoot, I'm guessing. Deploy, yeah, we know that. Reach, the distance in rows you can target. So if you're using ranged attacks from the back row, then that would mean that it can only attack the front row of the enemy, but if you play it in the front row, you can attack the enemy's back row, is what I'm getting from that. I can find the bullseye from 100 paces. Perhaps not with my first shot, mind you. Alright. This is a big difference, I think. This is straight up, there's straight up attacks in this game, like, more consistently. In Gwent and Witcher 3, you were playing cards, and then you were doing a bunch of tricks to make them multiply their damage value, their power values or whatever, but you pretty much were just playing cards to outmaneuver each other, and you could weaken the enemy team with certain things like weather, but attacking wasn't much of a thing, to the point where sabotage was like the one card that came to mind usually for that kind of thing. But here, straight up, people have like an amount of health, and in this case, shield that defends them from taking damage. And so this is what affects my power as my army, and that determines whether or not I win the round, and this is something that blocks that. So this doesn't count towards my overall power of the round, but it blocks incoming damage before this gets reduced and affects my actual score. Count Caldwell. Now he's got a power ranking and a Pomeranian. Look at the little guy. I don't think that's actually quite a Pomeranian. Okay. That was an animation choice they went with. That dog turned his head. Yeah, they're turning their heads. I've got so many questions about how the art works here. It has to be 3D models, right? There's some trickery. There's probably a video they've made that explains how their art works. It pees on him a lot. So when I place the does the deploy, place a copy of each adjacent unit from your deck. What? Place a copy of each adjacent unit from your deck. So if I play it next to other units, it will place a copy of them? Like it doesn't, are you saying it multiplies them? I'm gonna have to test that and find out how it works. Your Majesty, for the Queen to question commoners why it's simply not proper. Okay. I think using the shield is not a bad idea. Number of cards on this row, though. Like, it's more effective if I do it later. How about you? Your ability is boost an ally by 4 and give it 1 armor. Cooldown 3 turns. That's useful. It makes sense to place you first, because you duplicate units and you get power from other units, so I should probably start with you. In the front row?
Salt of the earth, they are, your grace. They'd follow you into fire. You need simply say the word.
Tithmen have the loyal ability. This means that their other abilities are activated every time you use Meve's ability. Each leader has its own unique ability. Tell them what it is, just like the leader. Meve's ability allows her to boost a unit's strength and add armor to it. She can use this ability once every few turns. To use Meve's ability, first select her, then select one of your units. Yep. Click. That's what I was getting ready to do.
I shall teach you to respect the crown, you dogs.
Yeah, that's what I was waiting to see, is that it should stack, because that's +4, then they have a +5, so now this 5 unit, this 5-0 unit just became a 14-1, which is a comical boost. So she clearly has sway over her people. Don't know what that means yet. What are these? What do these things mean? That's probably... Oh, that's our graveyards. Yeah, that's our graveyards. Those are our decks. Can I look at my deck? Nope. Obviously, you don't want us to be able to see what's left, what's next and whatnot, because that's how decks work. But I'm just curious what's even in my deck. There's a 3 and a 2. So that's 2, that's 2, that's a 3, that's a 0. I don't know what that means. This clearly indicates time passing, and this is probably how many lives we have, because it's supposed to be if you lose twice, then you've lost. So they have a power of 3, I have a power of 14. What do these all mean here? I'm guessing ranged, melee, and hero, like this guy, probably counts as the third one, because that looks like a crown. That's probably what the categories are. Right now, that they have a 3 and I have a 14, both in what looks like I think that's a sword in the background, but it's hard to see past the number. What are you gonna do? Stray's Cavalry. Whenever an enemy takes damage, boost self by 1. The strays are growing bolder. They're stealing horses from the bloody royal stables. They got themselves a horse, and whenever an enemy takes damage, boost self by 1. That means whenever I take damage, this thing's gonna get stronger. That could snowball if I'm not careful. Damage enemy by the number of cards in this row. So I might want to play you first, because then the attack would do 3 damage. But if I play you, well, actually do even more actually at that point. My only issue is just that if I play this guy first, I could potentially get more additional characters from my deck. I realized we didn't draw anything else from my deck. Right, because that happens after rounds are over, unless I play an effect that draws an additional round. Yeah. I'm already in the lead, so playing more is actually almost pointless, but they're requiring me to for the tutorial. Let's just do the Arbalist. Number of cards in this row. How you feeling now, huh? Running out of hit points over there?
Look out! Seek cover! We are bombarded!
You knocked me back? Yeah, you did. So it took out my 1 shield and knocked me back a row. So we saw their effect in action. Your opponent's cards also have abilities. Be sure to read their descriptions carefully and adapt your strategy accordingly. Yeah, now this adjacent unit thing is less effective because I have to pick and choose. This thing has an ability cooldown of 3, and it just went... Oh, I get what's going on here. Okay, this is literally a hand icon because that's how many cards are in your hand. I have 1 card in my hand, so I have a 1. They have 0 cards left in their hand, evidently, so now they're down to 0. This is the cooldown of my ability, and apparently it sounds like they don't have an ability. Yeah, they have no ability, so that's why there's a ×0 here. Mine says 1 because I used my ability 2 turns ago, so after 1 more turn it'll be back. Alright, we've more or less decoded the entire interface. Now for them to explain to me the interface, making it feel silly that I... Okay, so let's try to duplicate the Lyria and Arbalist, because that one actually has a deploy ability. So this should let me do all sorts of bad things to them.
The strays took tail and run! Yes! Our victory is assured! Sound the horns! May they sing praises of this triumph for ages!
So now they're out of cards, they're forced to pass, and so now we're over. Yeah, a lot of my tricks in Witcher 3 involved under-investing on purpose, usually in the first or second round, just to make my enemy waste a bunch of cards. And I'd also had a bunch of cards that were built around drawing more cards, so that I had an overwhelming power in the rounds I did try to win. When you have played all your cards, the end turn button will turn into a pass button. When you pass, you will not be able to perform any actions until the end of start of your next turn. To end the last turn of a round, press the coin button. Pass, yeah. There's nothing left to do. All of our cards are played, and we win by an overwhelming majority. And yeah, that's a ranged attack. That's a ranged attack. Wait, no. It is just okay, so it's not by unit type, it's just the rows. They have 6 in the back, 1 in the front. I have 14 in the front, 14 in the back. It has nothing to do with what the unit type is exactly. And this crown must mean something else. Maybe bonus points, bonus power from other effects that are on your units themselves. Probably. Alright. Oh, you gotta hold it. The player whose army has the most strength points at the end of a round will win the round. In the event of a tie, both players receive a victory point.
The battle's not yet done. It is better to conserve our strength. Prepare for a strike that will prove decisive.
The strong win. At the beginning of the second and third rounds, each player draws 3 cards. Oh.
Take the queen.
It left on its own. The player who won the previous round will play first the next round. Ah, I don't remember if that was a distinction before or not. Play any card. Or just pass and let them struggle with me. Having these guys plus her ability feels incredibly powerful. Like, incredibly powerful.
This harvest will be
Kind of a no-brainer first round thing to play, especially with this one benefiting from other units being down. And you doing this.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Okay, what is that? Oh, is that just a victory counter? I have one of the 2 points I need to win this whole round overall. Is that all that's indicating? Ah, I thought a number would come over that to indicate, like, you have bonus power from some other effect. But now it's half full after me winning once, and there's nothing else, there's no other indication that I won last round anywhere on the screen, so that must be it. Alright. Honestly, I think I'm going to be able to destroy these guys regardless of what I do. They have a hand of 2. My units just appear to be stronger, generally. So let's just crush them.
The chase is on!
Give me a time.
Took some damage there, huh? You have something scary left over as your last card? You're gonna have to make up for a lot of power. They did not. You've won 2 rounds. Yep, it's pointing at that. You've won 2 rounds in a row, which means that you're the battle's victor. Congratulations.
I congratulate you on your latest victory, Your Grace. The bandits stood not a chance.
Matters seem indeed to have gotten out of hand, to put it mildly.
Meve said, arms crossed atop her shining breastplate.
They've grown bold. Doubtless after the raid on the manor, the tax collectors. I've not heard of an ambush on the high road afore.
Caldwell explained, avoiding his liege's wrathful gaze.
Enough, Caldwell. We must put things right. Come!
The Queen's retinue set out, cavalry in front, infantry and arbalists close behind, and, following in the rear, the bandits, bound in chains.
I was gonna say, it sounds like nobody died, but corpse. Are those both factions? Yeah, he's in armor and he's not. It might be 1 death from each faction, but it's hard to say. What's this? Oh, just... oh, wood and gold. Okay, I thought there was more to it than just wood, yeah. More of that over here. Yep. Alright, so quickly recouping your losses.
I do adore this prospect.
Yes. Lyria, the Pearl of the North. With its hills and dales. Why, its beauty matched only by that of its queen.
After 3 weeks in the saddle, I've my doubts, Count. We shall pitch camp here. Our soldiers need respite. A spell of it they deserve.
To survey your army, you must first pitch camp. Pitch camp by pressing the tent button on the left side of the screen. Oh, hey, buttons. Look at all these buttons we have. That's probably inventory. Camp buildings allow you to expand your army and give you access to important information. Most camp buildings can be improved in your workshop. These improvements will give you access to stronger units, thus easing your journey down the line. Into the workshop, that's this one. Here you can build and improve camp buildings. To improve your camp buildings, you must first collect the appropriate quantity of gold and wood. For your journey, you'll definitely need access to a regional map. But to get it, you will first need to improve your royal tent. Upgrade the royal tent to level 2. Provides access to a map for your current region, 1,000 gold, 50 wood, and also mandatory. Mandatory and provided for. Thanks to this improvement, you can now have access to the regional map, which you can open from the main game screen. The workshop itself can also be improved. With each subsequent improvement, you'll gain access to new, stronger units. Go to the command tent to view your army. Is it this one? Or that? It's probably that one, isn't it? Oh, no, it's that one. And here's the deck. In the command tent, you can create units and build your army from available cards. Improving this building will increase your army's recruit cap, allowing you to use stronger units. The cards currently in your deck are displayed on the left-hand side. All cards available for you to create and place in your deck are displayed in the main screen. You can gain access to new cards by upgrading your training grounds and workshop as well, as through certain story-related tasks. Grayed out cards are available but have not yet been created. You must first create them before you can include them in your deck. Your deck must contain a minimum of 25 cards while not exceeding your army's recruit cap. Currently, your recruit cap sits at 125 points, which is right there. So that's the deck, that's the card count, that's the deck cap. So that's how powerful the cards can be themselves overall. And I'm one card short of the minimum. Conceptually, you could just keep adding more cards to your deck, I think, in Gwent, but the more you go over the cap, the more you're at risk of just dealing with the fact that, like, those cards you really want to draw are getting more rarer and rarer the more you dilute them. To create new cards, you need a particular resource, recruits. You can gain recruits at conscription posts, which are marked on the map as a helmet icon, as well as through certain story-related tasks. You've received additional resources to craft a Wagenburg card. Craft one now. What is that? There he is. I want to look at you. Go away, tutorial. I'm looking at the thing. It seems to be 15 deck points, or whatever they were called again, out of the 100 and whatever I had. So that's... Actually, I don't know how that compares yet. So it's got 3 power. Order. Damage all units on an enemy row by this unit's armor amount, then lose all armor. Gain 1 armor whenever a card appears on this row. That's interesting. Order. An ability triggered manually by the player. Units with order cannot be used for 1 turn after being placed on the battleground, whereas artifacts can be used immediately. Hey! Walls on wheels. They stole my idea. Alright, so you put this guy down, he doesn't have any particular utility at first, then you keep stacking units on that row, and all those additional units keep giving this thing 1 armor, then you can spend that armor as an attack, but then lose it. Damage all units on an enemy row, it's actually really good, potentially. That's why they make you work so hard to get each armor point, is that you can distribute it fittingly. Let's recruit that. Not that I have a choice at the moment. Now I have one. Add it to my deck. Click. There you go. Ah, all the green ones are the ones that are already in my deck. You can now view and create new cards, or return to the main game screen and continue your journey. Okay, so if I click on them in the sidebar, they are removed from my deck. If I click on them here, they're added back to my deck. Okay. I might as well get familiar. This might feel like a slow start, but frankly, the whole game's gonna feel a bit like this, because lots of reading and getting into the details of what's going on in our stuff and everything. Standard, premium, or all? Is there any reason to sort by premium? They're just animated cards, right? Yeah. Oh, so I do have this card in my deck? I do. So when you said I have a card that can be used in multiplayer, you said it was being unlocked for multiplayer, but also I have it here, evidently. I thought that I was only getting it for multiplayer and only multiplayer. That's good to know. Color all gold and gold cards and bronze cards. So these are not necessarily super significant. Ownership, all new, owned, unowned. So sort by new could be useful. Army, infinite, trophies, trinkets, units. So those are characters, those are trinkets. Yeah, okay. Trophies. What are trophies and trinkets? So the Lyrian banner, permanent resilience. Resilience is a status that allows a card to remain on the battle at round end, then restores it to base power if boosted. Allows a card to remain on the board at round end. Huh. Oh. So that's saying that if you finish the round and declare who won and who didn't win, that particular card that's marked with resilience will stay there until the next round, but any buffs on it are removed. Let's see. When Meve uses her ability, reduce her cooldown by 1. Ooh. Order. Move to the other row. Okay. So it is like a unit, isn't it? Because you can change its rows. And it looks like it's not attackable, because it doesn't have a power list or anything. That's interesting. Our emblem? A black eagle. Fate of our foes? Pure misery. It seems like this is just a thing you pluck down onto the board, and once it's on the board, now Meve's ability always has a cooldown of 2 instead of 3 turns. And you can tell it to change rows here and there if you feel like it, but that's about it. It'll just stay there, and it'll apparently stay there for the rest of the game each time, so drawing it as soon as possible is good, because it has resilience, unless the enemy has something that removes trinkets, which I would be surprised if that wasn't a mechanic, frankly. So that's a trophy. This is the trinket. The Fortitude Tonic. Boost a unit by 10. What field hospital, soldier? Put that arm in a sling, take 2 swigs of tonic, and get your arse back in formation. So, boost... 10's a lot, by the way. Damn. The numbers got big. The numbers got big in this version. Weren't the heroes like 10 and 15 before? Admittedly, these guys seem to be lower on average, but like the farm guy could easily go from his 5 all the way up to a 14 pretty easily. Let's see, he's still in here? Yeah. So where are they listed here? So they're over here. So I've currently got 5 Scythemans, 5 Arbalists, which we're familiar with them too. Let's learn who all these people are. So I've got the banner and tonic in here. This is interesting. There's a blank spot here. Let's remove these from my deck real quick, see what those slots look. Okay. That seems significant. Yeah. There's a flag slot right here and a trinket slot right there. If you read into that, it might mean that you're limited on how many trinkets and you might be limited on how many trinkets and trophies you can have in your deck. Maybe 2 trinkets and 1 trophy, judging by these backgrounds. They also don't appear to affect your count. They affect this count, but not that count, because they're not people. And this is about resources for your people. So that's probably why they're limited in such a way, is because otherwise you could just keep spamming them into your thing. Whereas these are the cards that have to eat. Let's learn about you guys. Reynard Odo. So this is the guy I got a moment ago. So on being played, you give 1 charge to units with depleted order. With depleted order, so anybody who's already done their order gets affected. Charge. The number of times an order ability can be used. Oh. Okay, so anybody who is out of order or has a maximum. When they say depleted, do they mean 0 or just less than maximum? I wonder. But apparently this will just let them do their order again. So that's handy. It refreshes order. Under your husband, I served 10 years. Under you, another 8. And never in that time did I fight for a more worthy cause. Flattering. We know this guy already. The War Wagon. Deploy. Spawn 2 light infantry on the right. There's a specific configuration. I mean, clarity is nice. Oh, it even tells me what a light infantry is. Let's see, spawn. Add a card to the game. Alright, well, that was self-explanatory. Light infantry, human. Order, move to another row. So they show up to the right of the War Wagon. The War Wagon has 8 power. They have 2 power. So you end up with, just with one play, you end up with 12 power. And multiple units. And then you can order said light infantry after the first turn to change rows, if that's useful to you. Death Wish. Damage a random enemy by 5. Death Wish. Trigger this ability when moved from the battlefield to the graveyard. Note, units that are banished are not sent to the graveyard. Ah. Okay. So when they die, they deal 5 damage to a random enemy, which is a lot for a 2 power unit. So the War Wagon's a nice card, is what I'm getting from this right now, with a value of 6. Something to consider. Hey out, archers in! Go, go, go! Arbalist. That's the one we saw before, right? Yeah. I thought you had 3 shield before. Did I imagine that? I thought he had 3 shield. Because it is the guy that attacks when he's played. The Regiment Drummer. Play the top blitz unit from your deck. Ooh. That's one clarification. All the ones that are listed as blitz or not blitz, they qualify for that. I don't know what blitz means necessarily. It feels like everyone's blitz though. Maybe that'll be explained later. So this plays the top blitz unit from your deck, charge of 1. So then if you could play this, that's where the synergy comes in. That's where you start going back and forth. Play this guy, and you can order him to bring in the top deck blitz character. But then you go in and you play Renard Odo, and he gives 1 more charge to the drummer, and the drummer can call in another unit from the deck. And so you start inflating the number of people on the board that turn. That's neat. Alright. Not the career he had in mind when he told Mummy he wanted to be a musician. He's got 3 armor. I swear you had armor earlier. Maybe I'm imagining things. The Wagenburg, we've explained this one already. The wall that has wheels. Field Medic. Deploy. Play a random ally from your graveyard. Ooh. The Resurrection card. That guy's arm is being cut off and also has bone sticking out. What a pleasant card to look at for the rest of the game. Stitch red to red, white to white, and everything will be alright. Good luck. So you play, it's not a strong card even remotely, but if you play it, it brings back someone from your graveyard. A random one though, so that might go poorly. We know about the Scytheman. Are you the one that has a shield? No, you're not. Rivian Pikeman. Deploy. Summon all copies of this unit. Oh. Oh boy. It's one of those ones. Like the, was it the vampire deck that did that a lot, I think? From the there was definitely monster cards that specialized in drawing everything that was like them. So the pikeman itself is not strong. It's only a 3. But if you play one of them, it just finds all of the other ones. Summon. Move automatically to the battlefield. Not considered played. It does not say from hand or from deck, but I think it might be. I think it works as from deck too, when you do that kind of stuff. Playing it from your hand would be a little wasteful because being able to lag behind your opponent and make tactical choices when they run out of hand cards is kind of handy. And burning through your hand too quickly kind of feels like it's limiting usually. Get off your high horse and face me. Hey, there she is. Nice art. She's not a unit though, really. No, we've been through all this stuff. Yeah. Yeah, one person gets 4 health, 1 armor, or 4 power, 1 armor, and then trigger everybody's loyal abilities. I'm not accustomed to interruptions. Lots of artists, by the way. almost every single one of these is a different artist. Yeah, Diego, Volmi, Graffiti. So, and these two are the same credit, but they're listed as a studio, not an individual person. Same with Volmi Games. But they're all over the place, really. Like, it's a more uniform art style overall than you'd expect to get from such a variety of artists. That speaks towards it, I suppose. All right, so at the moment, every single thing is in my deck right now. I could just play with the default deck, or I could start adding things. Like, what if I had more Rivian Pikemans? Let's see. So, right-click to recruit. I just right-clicked to try recruiting you. How do I actually build a unit? Preview / recruit with right-click. Am I out because I already have more than max, or what? Whatever, we looked over our units. I should wait because I have a maximum capacity here that I'm already at. And I haven't even played some of these units yet, so I don't have much perspective yet on which ones I'd want to take out to replace with other things for my own playstyle. You can now take a look at your other camp buildings to familiarize yourself with their functions, or you can return to the main... Yeah. Take a look at you. Ooh, increase the number of trinkets Meve can equip to 3, so that we were already at 2, that'll take it to 3. So yes, we do have a maximum that is explicitly there. The mess tent. Place where you can share stories with your comrades. No list of how to upgrade it. Command tent enables unit creation and army building. You can go to the watchtower. Use scouts to mark the location of treasures and resources on your regional map. That's probably a good thing to buy as fast as possible, because then I can just find things constantly for the rest of the game. This is the training grounds. Provides access to training grounds, enables you to recruit new combat units in the command tent. Ooh. They give me examples. Huh. I don't think the pikeman and drummer changed on this screen, but that's a Lyrian Arbalist Plus. Oh yeah, its power is up to 7, so you can make your units better too. There's the Forager's Forager's Quarters. Gain between 25 to 75 gold after every battle won. So that snowballs. Sooner you get that, the better overall benefit you get from it over the course of the game. The Herald Study, gain 1 recruit after every battle won. So both of those are ones you kind of want to get started early, probably. I gotta pick one though. The Workshop enables the construction of new camp structures. Workshop 2 enables you to create new support units in the command tent. So there's the War Wagon, Crushing Trap, and Forager. Huh. I wonder if it's saying that I can't create those until I have access to this particular upgrade. Let's double check something. Looking at the deck, I was able to make a Wagenburg. I can recruit you. But I can't... Oh, so I can't recruit a Rivian Pikeman or a Field Medic. Did it say which ones I can recruit? Does it say anywhere without me checking it every single one at a time? I can recruit a Scytheman. So those you're allowed to get more of. More people to be inspired by you. Yeah, I would not expect to be able to make such heroes. I don't know why I'm not just clicking this. Arbalist. Okay, so good to know. I can make an Arbalist, I can make a Scytheman, and I can make a Wagenburg. Nothing else, though, is currently craftable. You likely need those other upgrades to craft them. I think that's the takeaway. So we're learning things. So if I get this, I can make another War Wagon on top of the one I already have. And then a Crushing Trap and a Forager. I'll look into those when they become available. I don't want to read more cards I don't even have yet. Increases Meve's movement on the map by 5%. I mean, it's welcome, but not really worth spending resources on. Just a few seconds of extra time on my end, then 15%. I don't know, maybe you have to outrun something at some point in the game, but I'm guessing that doesn't seem like the case right now. Alright, let's see everything else before I spend any resources. The Royal Tent. In the Royal Tent, you can view the letters and maps you've received so far, as well as keys and card fragments. The Royal Tent screen can also be accessed from the main game screen by pressing the knapsack icon. So one of the reasons I chose the hard difficulty to expose this is that I watched a review of this game, and that review said that they found the game unchallenging. And I'm like, well, they probably played on normal, right? So if they didn't find the game to be particularly difficult, then let's play on hard mode. Let's make it interesting. Letters. The Royal Steward's Letter. Your Highness, artisans from Gradobor have prepared a new tapestry pattern for the throne room. I've included an engraving of the design. You will be pleased with it, I hope. A Cintrian lion, inherited by King Coram I. Bared fangs offer stunning realism, and the ancestral sword of the Delans of Temeria appears as if forged in the very depths of Mahakam. I have no doubt it shall prove the castle's latest masterpiece. We eagerly await your return, my lady. Gustave Perrault, Royal Steward. So she's already been on saddle for 3 weeks, she said before. Letter from King Demavend. Dear Meve, you've my gratitude for attending the summit. What luck we did not put off the meeting any longer. From what my men say, armies on the march are kicking up a veritable dust storm across Yaruga. Come what may, remember you have my full and unconditional support. Best wishes, Demavend. A report from Nilfgaardian movements. Noted increased Nilfgaardian activity in foothills of Armel Mountain and near Reidebrunn. Ambassador claims routine training exercises. Number of troops, quality of equipment indicate otherwise. Recommended strengthening borders and tripling patrols across Yaruga. Wow, that's sounds a lot like normal, like stuff from our actual life. It's just a training exercise. Don't mind all these explosions. Reports. Strays of Spala, the people we just dealt with. Strays of Spala, a bandit group formed after revolt in dungeons of Spala Castle. Mainly pickpockets, racketeers, cat purses, assassins, armed with slings, daggers, instruments of torture stolen from Spala headsmen's axes, saws, hammers. Cleverer and bolder than common bandits, attack heavily armed convoys, noblemen's mansions, unable to determine identity of the group's leader. They seemed shocked by an attack. They should have read that report. Milka's map. And so now I can look at these images, but I've found it already. But yeah, the buttons didn't exist yet. They were keeping them from me. I don't have any keys to look at. None yet. Card fragments. None of those yet either. And that's the entire menu? Alright. So that's where you just check in on your inbox, basically, is the Royal Tent. Then we've got the Mess Tent. And a character to talk to. You can talk with your companions in the Mess Tent. Give them a little bit of your time, and you may just learn a secret or two. The Grey Rider. The hell's that?
A bit of respite, Reynard.
Yes. But if you've any new orders, Your Grace, I can be ready at any...
At ease, Reynard. At ease. Don't you find it wearisome sitting alone? Wouldn't you prefer another's company? Swapping tales with the innkeep, even?
Your concern, I most appreciate, Your Grace. But I prefer silence.
Has it always been thus with you? Ever a man apart?
Quite the contrary, Your Grace. As a youth, I gloried in company, delighted in conversation.
So what was it that changed you?
That delight nearly cost me my head. But do you truly not know the tale, milady? How I came to be your departed husband's aide?
I don't, but would gladly hear it.
I had but 20 winters behind me when I enlisted. Yet I was granted the rank of lieutenant from the start, not by merit, but by birth. The respect of veteran officers, both my peers and seniors, that they could not grant, nor did I deserve it. To earn that respect became my driving aim, and to seem wise beyond my years, I began spouting off about the king's decisions. This maneuver Reginald botched, that he failed to think through, and yet elsewhere he'd blundered like a schoolboy.
Well, a brilliant strategist Reginald was not. They dubbed him the courageous, not the cunning, for good reason, I dare say.
It was not long before I was clanking about in shackles. Another officer had reported me. I was charged with lèse-majesté. The court-martial took but a quarter of an hour to deliver verdict and sentence. I was guilty of treason, and the noose awaited me. But Reginald first stayed the execution, then ordered that I repeat every word I'd uttered about his person or deeds. Soaked with sweat, my voice cracking, I did as he ordained. Reginald listened, raptly and silently, and when I'd finished, he declared I was right. He then appointed me his personal aide. A clever lad like you, I can always use at my side.
Indeed. Though hardly sharp himself, wisdom in others Reginald both recognized and heeded.
It was then I swore two things. Firstly, never again to wag my tongue like a fool. Secondly, never to betray his trust.
And you never did. Know what he told me moments before he passed? Trust none of them, Meve, save Reynard. The old sod was right about that, at least. I thank you for sharing that tale, Reynard. Truly. Alas, I've come to fear Willem might simply not be cut out to be a king, let alone a good one.
A harsh judgment, Your Grace. Let's not be hasty. The prince is but 16 summers to him.
And is thus fully grown. The crown he should be able to bear at his age. Yet I left the land in his care for but a few months, and look what's become of it. Bandits roam and loot unchecked.
We might yet learn of mitigating circumstances, events beyond his control.
Would that it were so, Reynard. Would that it were so. Elsewise we must hope Ancaeus will demonstrate more wit than his brother, though I see little chance of that either. It's time I attended to other matters.
Damn. Talking about somebody 12 years younger than I am, and I don't feel like I'd be ready to run a kingdom now, let alone 12 years ago. So he's supposed to be one of the most trustworthy characters in the group. Him being observable from the side, all the more makes me wonder how much these are all 3D character models. Because like I'm like, did they redraw him from scratch in a bunch of different directions, or is he just facing directions here? The way that this like crunches and shrinks away so much, I'm definitely thinking this is just straight up a 3D model that just is really convincing it not being one. The Grey Rider. Oh, you're a stats screen, not a person. Weird. So we've been in this current map for 1 hour. No quests, puzzles, or battles won. Take that tutorial. You don't count as a standard battle. We found 1 of 10 golden chests. Alright. Handy little completion meter, I suppose. Could I click on the guy in the back? Nope.
Worked in a mess once at serving no meat, not even sausage. Weren't long before the men rioted.
I spoke too soon. You can click on the guy in the back.
What can I pour you, my lady? Vizima's finest, or a nice Redanian bitter?
Alright, he's more of a person than the Grey Rider is. The Grey Rider that we will later find out is, it's Geralt, oh my god! No. We'll see. Geralt's on some of the art, so like, he's somewhere in this world, but I don't think he works for us. But maybe you can get him as a card, I don't know. I'm curious about that. So I need to make my mind up. Do I want to upgrade the wagon or the training grounds? I think I want to get this, the Forager's Quarters and the Herald Study. I like that idea. Getting my resources to build up constantly sounds handy. Getting that started early is probably a good one. Even though it might be an overinvestment, maybe gold isn't as valuable as I think it might be. Requirements not met. Oh, I don't have a training grounds. Right, so I can't get those characters until then. I need 2,000 gold to even have a trading grounds in the first place. I misinterpreted that. We don't even have the first building of that particular structure. This will give us access to an extra trinket, which is helpful during battles. Tempting, maybe not this early though. Let's get this. I have access to this and it's not very expensive, and it'll help mark resources so I can know that where they are and make sure I don't miss out on stuff. Helping me be more completionist and therefore be able to ultimately do more of this tree by the end anyway. Seems handy to me.